Some people can spend hours around others and still say very little. They listen more than they speak, observe more than they explain, and often leave conversations without revealing much about themselves. People who don't talk much are often misunderstood as shy, cold, awkward, or uninterested. But psychologically, silence can come from many different places, and not all of them are negative. For some, silence comes from observation. While others focus on responding quickly, quiet individuals often focus on understanding first. They pay attention to tone, behavior, patterns, and reactions. Instead of immediately adding to a conversation, they absorb it. Their mind stays active internally, even when outwardly they seem still. There is also a difference in how they process thoughts. Some people think while speaking. Others think before speaking. People who talk less often filter their thoughts carefully before expressing them. By the time they decide whether something is worth saying, the moment may have already passed. This doesn't mean they have fewer thoughts. It often means they evaluate them more deeply. Another factor is emotional exposure. Talking reveals things: opinions, emotions, vulnerabilities, insecurities. For some individuals, staying quiet feels safer than opening parts of themselves to judgment, misunderstanding, or conflict. Silence becomes a form of protection, not always conscious, but learned over time. There is also a connection to social energy. Conversations require constant processing, listening, responding, interpreting reactions, managing tone. For highly introspective or sensitive individuals, this can become mentally draining. Remaining quiet helps reduce overstimulation and preserves energy. Interestingly, many quiet people are not uncomfortable with silence itself. In fact, they often notice that others are. Silence creates tension for many people, who rush to fill it with words. But quieter individuals may experience silence differently, not as emptiness, but as neutrality. They don't feel the same urgency to speak simply to maintain interaction. For some, talking less is related to depth. Surface-level conversations can feel repetitive or emotionally disconnected. If an interaction doesn't feel meaningful, they may withdraw mentally rather than force participation. It's not always social anxiety. It can be selective engagement. There is also the influence of past experiences. People who were interrupted, ignored, criticized, or misunderstood repeatedly may gradually learn to speak less. Over time, silence becomes easier than trying to explain themselves. The habit forms quietly, often without them fully noticing it. Socially, quiet individuals are often perceived inaccurately because people tend to interpret silence based on their own assumptions. Confidence may be mistaken for arrogance, thoughtfulness for distance, calmness for disinterest. But internally, the person may simply be processing more than they express. At a deeper level, many people who don't talk much have rich internal worlds. Their attention is directed inward, toward thoughts, analysis, imagination, or reflection. The external conversation is only one part of what they are experiencing. Of course, not all silence is healthy. Sometimes it reflects fear, emotional shutdown, or difficulty connecting. But in many cases, silence is not emptiness. It is restraint, observation, or preference. In the end, people who don't talk much are not necessarily lacking confidence, intelligence, or emotion. Often, they are simply more selective about what they give to the outside world. Their silence does not mean nothing is happening inside them. It often means there is too much happening to express all at once.